air.
All right, I'm Jason Whitlock. That's Marcellus Wiley, that dude.
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself, the most fearless show in sports. Coming up, we'll tell you if Michael Thomas's new deal is proof the NFL is overvaluing wide receivers. And 1 hour from now, I'll tell you the truth about the U.S. women's national team and their fight for equal pay. But we start today with LeBron James. Here's what LeBron James worshipers miss about his AAU antics. They tell us something interesting and enlightening about LeBron James as a basketball player and virtually nothing about LeBron as a father. I don't have any real interest in evaluating LeBron as a father. There's no tangible public information for any of us to make that evaluation. The people who swear up and down that LeBron is one of the greatest fathers in the history of sports are pulling that evaluation out of their rear end. They don't know. The people arguing that I condemn LeBron as a parent are pulling that opinion out of their backside too. I didn't, and I haven't, and I won't. I do not know anything about LeBron as a parent other than he dunks in his kid's layup line, makes a spectacle of himself at his son's games, and apparently serves tacos on Tuesdays at home. Here's what I've said about LeBron as it relates to parenting. It's inappropriate to make himself the center of attention at his son's game, and he needs to follow the advice he gave his mother when she did the same thing at one of his games. He told her to sit her ass down. That is not condemnation of LeBron as a parent. It's an opinion about his behavior at his son's games. The reason LeBron's AAU behavior is worthy of discussion is because it tells us something about LeBron as an athlete, an entertainer, and a celebrity. He is always on stage and wants to be the center of attention on absolutely every stage he is on. If you remember during the just passed NBA free agency period, LeBron and his media messengers were trying to sell the notion that LeBron would take a back seat to Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis. That was part of the sales pitch. Do you buy it? I certainly don't. If there's oxygen in a room, LeBron wants all of it. That's why he's built a television show on HBO where people are paid to sit around him and agree with his very shallow thoughts. Does anyone remember Kyrie Irving's complaints about LeBron and why he fled Cleveland? It was basically about a lack of oxygen when in the vicinity of King LeBron James. Does anyone remember Kevin Durant's comments about a toxic environment surrounding LeBron? Yeah, the air is polluted and there's a lack of oxygen. That lack of oxygen reduced Chris Bosh and Kevin Love to standing in the corners and shooting spot-up threes. That lack of oxygen choked out Luke Walton as the coach of the Lakers. Pat Riley was the airbag that saved Eric Spoelstra in Miami. The simpletons in the media can all rush to Twitter and pretend I viciously attack LeBron as a parent. They can defend LeBron's hey look at me behavior by trashing absentee black fathers. They can continue to exalt their false god, King James. But the truth is out there staring us all in the face. The top NBA players know what I'm talking about. LeBron James's unquenchable thirst for attention creates unnecessary drama that undermines a team. That's why both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard said thanks but no thanks to the Lakers. All right, joining the desk now is Bleacher Report's Rick Bucher. Marcellus, start us off.
Yeah.
Do LeBron's AAU antics say anything about him as a basketball player?
It does, actually, and it's something that's refreshing, something that I love about LeBron James, the fact that he's not too cool for school. And if you think about it, when you get around a superstar, a lot of times you look at that guy and you already have this anticipation of what the typical star looks like. He's going to be shorter in personality and he's going to grow in entourage. So it's going to be harder to get to him, and when you get to him, not much there. And that's not LeBron James. And I think that's refreshing and empowering when you're a teammate of a guy like that. I had a close version of that in my own world of the NFL in Junior Seau, a guy who had the personality of the 53rd man on the team. You know, a guy who you're like, he's so cool. Is he trying to be the buddy to make the squad, or is he really the superstar, the living legend, and the guy who's going to give you the production, but also the personality that you don't get typically when you get to that rarefied air? What I love about LeBron is he's not a prisoner of his own success. And I think a lot of times we say he wants the attention, or those guys want the attention, but in reality, it comes with the territory, so why not embrace it? This is a guy that I think that really gives, as he's a natural facilitator on the court, he really gives off the court. And if I'm a teammate of his, I actually like it.
First of all, I can't believe you guys started this conversation without me a couple of days ago. I'm disappointed. Right. I am flummoxed, flabbergasted, and downright confounded by the heat that you've taken with the position that you've taken on this. Because, and I look at it, you as a black man criticizing another black man, which a lot of people have taken that position, that's part of what's going on here. I can only imagine me stepping into the fire and where that's going to go. But nonetheless,
ding, 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 ding.
I will do that. And I will do that as a father of 2 kids who play AAU basketball. Now, I agree with you. There is a personableness, there is a down-hominess about LeBron.
Joy for the game. You left that out as well. That's another thing that the AAU deals. The guy has great joy for the game.
Yeah, he just loves it.
For sure. And I appreciate that. But it's ignoring LeBron James, the superstar. It's ignoring that there's a time and a place. If he's at practice, if he's behind the scenes, if he's with the kids bringing them over to the house and they're playing hoops over there, and he's just a regular guy, a regular dad, yes, that's refreshing. When you're doing it when all the cameras are there. I can just tell you with my kid, my son in middle school, hit 2 free throws to win a game in the last seconds. I put on Instagram a video of that. And when he saw it, he said, "Dad, I wish you would ask me before you posted that." And I was like, I'm just a proud dad. Like, what's the deal? It's his deal. He doesn't want dad. In fact, my kids are uncomfortable right now with me mentioning them on this program as using them because it's their deal. They don't want to have to, through social media or the advertisement of anything, to have that interfere. LeBron does that.
I don't want to stop you, but I want to deal with what you're saying, though. LeBron and his son seem to have made a different decision.
Right.
They're going all in on little Bronny wants to be a social media star, has 3 million followers. They're going the opposite direction.
He wanted the IG a long time ago.
Yes.
LeBron made him wait.
Fair enough. And if he was a tennis player, I'd say, have at it. But when you're part of an AAU team, I looked at all the attention that has been given to this and LeBron. And I don't think about Bronny because Bronny signed up for this. Although I would imagine Bronny, in my heart, I would wish Bronny would say to Dad, you know, this is why Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and these guys.
Oh, that ain't it.
That's why they're not.
It's off the
that's
same
why they don't
tree.
play because he doesn't know. I don't know whether he's oblivious or whether he just doesn't care. But the shadow of LeBron James and the fame and the stardom is enormous. Mm-hmm. And when you are that big of a star, you have to work at being a normal father. You have to work at being a normal teammate. You have to work at keeping the shadow from engulfing everybody else. Mm-hmm. He makes no attempt to do that, and it's why guys haven't come to play with him. And it's why I look at this situation and I'm thinking, it's not Bronny. It's the rest of those kids. If LeBron James is in the stands, every kid on that team knows he's in the stands and he's being watched by LeBron James, and he is psyched. He doesn't need him celebrating. He doesn't need him sliding on the court because you know what happens? When LeBron does that, now all the attention is on LeBron James. This is the moment for these kids. We realize they won the tournament, but it's all about LeBron James. It should be about these kids.
Well, I don't think that your behavior should change because the cameras are there. That was your first point. A lot of times you get caught up in this equation. Do you act for the cameras, which we're saying sometimes people do? Do you turn it on? You're always on stage. Or the cameras, they're filming how you act. So if you're LeBron.
But I don't want to stop you, Marcellus. I think his behavior should be there with or without cameras.
And that's what
he needs to bring it back, whether there are cameras or not.
Well, the bring it back is the problem because what's the old passage that says, should I dim my light so others can shine brighter? Like, be careful what that means because in this context, LeBron is like, I'm not going to dim my light, but I'm going to make you brighter. I'm going to actually encourage you. I'm going to actually support you. I'm actually emphasize what you're doing by using some of the fame and glory that comes everywhere I go. And it's a package because you can see it monetizing and materializing now. Zion Williamson, who was a young player who actually rode the train.
Lit his own torch. Lit his own torch.
And how did he light it? With what gas? The same gas that LeBron is using right now to apply to this team. Not just to his son, but to this team. So it's actually uplifting all.
This is what I know about other players. I've seen Matt Barnes in Las Vegas coaching his team in an AA tournament with his sons on the team, with his sons going off in the tournament. You would have never known that they were his sons. You would have never known that Matt Barnes was a former NBA player.
That's not the best example. He just got 2 texts and thrown out of gym last week. But I know what you're saying. That's Matt.
I'm just saying, right. I've seen it. David West, I've been at a tournament where he's watching his son, hat pulled down low. Everybody in the gym knew David West was there. They were excited that David West was there. He tried to make it about his son. The problem with LeBron, and I agree with you, there's the value of using your light to allow other people's to get shine.
Right.
LeBron's is a blinding light. You have to be responsible and careful in how you use it. Otherwise, it drowns everybody else out.
Well,
and that's what I see
in
this circumstance.
No. See, it's interesting. Welcome to superstardom, right? And that's a big difference than stardom. We keep making the inference to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard why they didn't go there. Well, the reality of it is the stars don't have problems with the non-stars because everyone knows how this goes. But it's the stars and the superstars that have most of the conflict. And I'll tell you how. I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example. Coachella. You guys ever been to Coachella? No?
Haven't, but know it well.
Okay, Coachella. There's a general admission for the masses, right? And then there's a VIP that makes you feel good. Oh, you bragging. You said, girl, we're going to Coachella this week. I got VIP passes. And then very few people realize until they get there that VIP is pretty expensive. It's pretty big. You're like, oh, is that a porta potty for VIP? And then your homeboy walks up, and it's a rare homeboy, but he has an artist pass. And he's riding around on the go-kart, and he's getting the golf cart treatment, and he's getting the drinks brought to him, not going to the bar. And that's when you see, oh, this is not the same experience. Kawhi Leonard, respect to his greatness, top 5 player right now, is right now in litigation with Nike to get his logo back. Meanwhile, the same Nike is giving LeBron James billions of dollars. Is that a teammate that I want to just sign up and say, I am now going to be second place no matter how I play this?
No.
So guys don't do that, and that's the NBA history lesson. All the top players, none of them ever attracted free agents in that degree.
Oh,
Go.
wait a minute.
Go.
Wait a minute.
Top. Magic? Nope. Different era, but Magic, Jordan? Nope. Kareem?
Who did Kevin Durant just join?
Oh, I like that example. You know why? Because Steph went there. I mean, Kevin Durant went to Steph, but guess who was the better player? Who was the better player? The one that came. Not the better player was already there in this LeBron example. It's not analogous. Okay. There's not a guy in the top tier of NBA lore that has ever said, I got a guy.
How many times has Paul George been a league MVP?
None.
Or how many times has Russ Westbrook?
He was in the running this year.
How many times has Russ Westbrook been a league MVP?
He's won it.
Okay. Who invited who? Who joined who?
How long that last?
Paul George. Bottom line is he went. Kyrie Irving.
Chris Bosh joined.
Kyrie Irving could have gone and rejoined LeBron James.
Right.
There have been plenty of opportunities for guys to go and rejoin LeBron. And yes, the pairing up. Look, Paul George went, okay, I'm with Russ. Okay, I've had my fill of that.
Add that. Go back
home. I could go to LeBron or I could go to Kawhi. You know what? I'm going to go to Kawhi. Guys have veered away from it. And it's not a clear fault of LeBron. I did this piece, we've referenced at times, about the toxic environment. That was the piece that Kevin Durant said it's a toxic environment. He was talking about the media fanboys. But nonetheless, there's another quote in there by Tyson Chandler where he says, if you've got LeBron, you've got to make it about LeBron. You've got to be able to coexist with that and fit with that. Who are you? Where are you in your career? And how do you fit in? It's a sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice for winning. Now, here's the distinction. Kawhi Leonard proved, I don't need to go there to win. And for the last couple of years, LeBron James hasn't been able to offer that you get to win if you come with me and you play second fiddle. So guys don't see any redeeming factor in stepping into that shadow. But the bottom line is LeBron has never tried to name a situation where LeBron has purposely avoided creating that shadow. Russ Westbrook did it for Paul George. Who was the league MVP? Who was vying for that this year? That was Russ stepping aside and allowing that to happen.
You know what's funny about what you just posed? Name the situation where LeBron deferred. LeBron said, I'm going to step away from it. You know what happens in those situations that probably don't get mentioned and noticed? Is when LeBron doesn't give his blessing, when LeBron doesn't give his presence, it all of a sudden becomes non-story. But that's commonplace when you're with a superstar. Think about that equation. When LeBron is not trying to be, like, I invited LeBron to my event. LeBron doesn't show up. The event gets what coverage?
Right.
LeBron shows up, what does the event get in terms of coverage? And that's what LeBron is faced with.
Sure.
So you're giving him an impossible reality. When has LeBron ever tapped out and something got noticed?
No, what I'm saying specifically when it comes to teams,
Okay.
when it comes to making room for another superstar.
Right.
Again, I don't know if he's oblivious or he just doesn't care. But in order to be able to make room for a guy, and you can say Steph wasn't the better player, but Steph owned the Bay Area.
Yeah,
Steph was already a champion. And Steph said, what do I need to do to take a step back on the floor to allow you to shine? The Warriors collectively did that. They didn't have to do that. They were champions in their own right without Kevin Durant. He was the guy coming in, but they said, you know what? Let us make room for you because we see your value and we need you. And that's the great distinction. Right now, LeBron James needs that help.
But LeBron's done that, and I'm glad I'm talking to someone who knows the details of the game. Year one, Miami. Ask Fizdale. Ask them when they had to go up to LeBron. LeBron,
Yes.
you're making too much room for
Yes.
Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
Another superstar who owned that locale,
Yes.
Wade County.
Yes.
And LeBron defers. So it's in his DNA. He's done it before to his
He
own
ain't
demise.
doing it now, though.
That's it.
And Marcellus,
I'm listening.
this is a new narrative.
Yeah.
Again, because the beauty of this show is what a lot of times we keep people ahead of the conversation. The things that are transpiring with LeBron and the perception of LeBron right now around the league with top players, it's a new narrative that no one is opening their eyes to, but there's signs everywhere. And so, and LeBron is an interesting phenomenon, and you can't compare it to the past because there's so much money being made, so much money from shoe companies. The level of superstardom is at a whole different level than even Michael Jordan's era.
Yeah.
This is all brand new. And all I'm saying is, like, when you don't have the self-awareness at any point to say, you know what, I got to give these other people room to breathe. There's a reason why you and I talk off air, and I'm like, hey, man, am I getting out of your way enough? Those conversations. I don't think, and what me and Rick are saying, I don't think LeBron, that ever crosses his mind. The more oxygen I breathe, the happier and the more successful we are is what LeBron thinks. I don't know if that works in this era.
You know what's funny? Let's not compare eras, but let's also not gauge him basically on his free agency and how others want to corral around him as a Los Angeles Laker. When have the Lakers ever attracted a big
Oh,
name?
wait, no, don't do that. Don't do
Hey,
that.
don't give me the salary cap because of their success.
Hold on a second.
Go.
We gave
I'm
the out.
waiting.
I gave him the out forever in Cleveland because it
waiting.
was Cleveland. And he was on short-term deals in order to maintain his leverage.
Yeah.
And so it was, but guys are, okay, how long are you going to be here?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you leave,
It's
then I'm in
Cleveland, too.
Cleveland by myself.
You're not moving Cleveland. Cleveland's still in
Now
Cleveland.
it's L.A. Now it's the Lakers, one of the most storied franchises, and it's LeBron James.
But what's
I've got everything that I want.
I asked one question. Give me the big-time free agent that signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And now you got LeBron as a Laker. No one wants that smoke.
I don't
the
know.
Lakers brand is enough smoke.
I don't have all the history, but I don't know how Wilt and Kareem and
we could
Shaq.
go there. We could go in black and white television.
But
I'm
again,
just saying
Shaq,
right
I don't know how all those people
I'm
arrived.
talking. Shaq was a trade.
Well,
Yeah. Let's
they
go.
created cap space for him.
They all do.
Okay, good.
But how
I'm
did
saying.
he get? Like, who raised their hand and said, "I sign on"? AD, right? Like,
Again,
I'm just telling you how it goes with the Lakers.
I get that.
Before LeBron, that's just a real thing. And now you combine those forces. That's a lot.
But I think as it relates to LeBron James right now, and the way he's perceived around the league, because it's not just Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. It's Kyrie Irving and what happened in Cleveland. It's KD's comments about toxic. It's Tyson Chandler's comments there that are, to me, right on point. This guy, I think, in the aftermath of the heat he took in the decision, I think LeBron was one way, and then the aftermath of the decision in that first year in Miami, I think it changed him. I think they said to him, hey, man, you got to tap in a bit more to your selfishness for this to work. And then now we're seeing the extreme of it as he had success, won championships, and now it's gone to an extreme, and now he's moved out to L.A., and now, again, was that 2009 when he went to Miami, or 2010? I can't remember.
2010.
2010. Now that social media has really taken a hold of the athletes, it wasn't the case in 2009 and 2010. I just think it's accentuated a problem that was there.
Wait, first of all, a little clarification on the whole Kyrie thing, because the way that ended was with an apology from Kyrie. When Kyrie became the man somewhere else and got a dose of that reality, LeBron, my bad. I kind of get where you was going.
Did he come here? Was he trying? Is he in Brooklyn right now?
Yeah. But also, who signs up?
I done made some apologies that I wasn't really.
Oh, I've been there too.
It's the right thing to do publicly.
But who signed up to be second fiddle? Like, who signs up to be second fiddle as a top athlete? Like a guy teetering as superstar. Who signs up for that? That's why no one wants to be here.
Steph Curry signed up for that. KD and Kyrie Irving, we don't know what the pecking order is going to be there. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. It's not a matter of they're looking at the pecking order. First of all, because it's not determined. With LeBron, it's always determined. You're always going to be second.
And he sold the myth. I'm going to take a back seat. And everybody, no, you're not.
Y'all, I love y'all for making my point.
I've been to your AAU games. You ain't taking a back.
1A, 1B is not the same as second fiddle.
Stick around.
This is Jason Whitlock from Speak for Yourself, and I got a website you have to visit, pristine.com. Pristine Auction has daily auctions, ending nightly, and with $1 starting bids. Authenticity is important to Pristine Auction. They guarantee authenticity and come with authentication from only the most trusted sources. Pristine auctions are affordable. Most people don't think they can afford this stuff, but it is much more affordable than you think. A signed Ray Lewis Baltimore Ravens jersey sold for under $100. A Mike Tyson autographed boxing glove sold for under $100. It's quick and free to register, free to bid, and you only pay if you win. Use registration code when joining pristine.com. That's pristine.com, and new users will receive a $5 auction credit. Again, you'll get a $5 auction credit when you register using the code SPEAK, SPEAK, to sign up for pristine.com. That's pristine.com.
Whitlock and Wiley, joined now by Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings and NFL Films is Greg Cosell, Howard's nephew. All right, time now for a big story.
Heard that before.
Let's move to New Orleans.
Once or twice.
Where Michael Thomas's holdout seems to have worked like a charm, with the Saints making Thomas the NFL's highest paid wide receiver. With a 5-year extension worth $100 million, Thomas has been Drew Brees' favorite target of late and led the NFL in receptions last year, and the deal reportedly includes $61 million in guaranteed money. Start with you, Marcellus.
Brother.
The NFL overvaluing wide receivers?
Not at all.
Okay.
There has not been
We're good.
wide receivers as a whole.
Disagree.
You remember in high school, 707 passing tree? We all got introduced to that. Well, the passing tree has a lot of green on this tree. And you know what? It starts with the quarterback. It extends out branches to the wide receivers. Anybody in this passing game, and those who have to protect us and defend us. That said, there has not been a more slam dunk case than this dude getting paid. Second rounder, underpaid, who's gotten better every single year. Pay the dude his money.
Jason, think about this, okay? Marcellus knows this, and Greg obviously knows this. But here's what the NFL game is now from a coaching perspective. Offensive coaches, what do they want to do? They're trying to create explosive plays. That's the game.
I thought they wanted to win Super Bowls.
Defensively, you're trying to defend explosive plays and take them away.
I thought they were trying to win Super Bowls. Go ahead, Colin. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
What does that mean? That's like saying in baseball you want to score more runs than the other team.
Show me one of these diva, high-priced wide receivers that win Super Bowls.
The point is how do you go about getting to and winning a Super Bowl? It doesn't matter. That's not the point about, he's a diva. And by the way, he's a good receiver.
Would you not take Hopkins over Edelman?
So you're trying to create explosive plays. Who creates explosive plays in the NFL besides the quarterback? Wide receivers. So they're important to your offense.
They just don't win Super Bowls, but go ahead.
You can say that all you want to.
That's a
It's
meaningless
about winning
statement.
games and putting yourself and team in the position to win Super Bowls. And absolutely not. Receivers are not overvalued when you look at the grand scheme of things offensively. As you alluded to, and I love your stance and your approach, explosive plays, when you have a strategic scheme, every week, every team goes up and they put on the board, okay, we want at least 8 or 9 explosive plays. That's in the passing game.
Right.
And then we want 2 to 3 in the running game. Why is it so much less in the running game? Because that's much more of a challenge. We need these receivers to be an extension of what we know our quarterback is going to be able to do and provide. With Michael Thomas, I mean, you're talking about 35% of their passing offense. Like 35% of their passing offensive yards, like it's Michael Thomas. And the usage and the value that he provides to that team, you can't compare it to everywhere else in the league.
And then it's team and scheme specific, Jason.
Well, I mean,
you got to look at the team.
Cosell has said my comments are meaningless or irrelevant.
They are.
And so, Cosell, just tell me this.
It's okay.
The team with the highest paid wide receiver in the league.
Right.
Is there a boatload of Lombardi
One team
trophies
wins a
following them
Super
around?
Bowl, Jason.
No,
One
no, and the
team wins
team
a
that keeps
Super Bowl.
doing it doesn't have the highest paid wide receiver ever.
You know what? I love this because when the New England Patriots are successful, it's like, and they're doing this with no
When they're
receivers.
successful, you mean when they're always
Exactly.
successful. Go ahead.
You mean no?
But then when the production starts to teeter in the middle of the season, we're like,
good point.
if they had a DeAndre Hopkins, give Tom Brady this guy, Tom Brady.
Don't quote yourself. That's the stuff you say.
No. But when we look at when he did have a number one guy, what did they do? They didn't win the Super
They're
Bowl.
almost perfect.
But they were almost perfect.
Perfect.
They were almost perfect when Randy Moss was running down that sideline, breaking single-season records of touchdown catches. Tom Brady breaking single-season records. You're right.
You know what it is,
Almost. There are a
Jason?
lot of almost instances in the National Football League.
Jason,
Almost.
results are easy. It's about process. Coaches and players are about process. It's how do you become a great team. It's how do you become a better player.
Who's got a better process?
It's about process. The
Than
results.
Bill Belichick. Who's got a better process?
He has a great process.
And I don't see any part of that process being, let's acquire the highest paid receiver in the NFL.
So here's the deal there. He's got arguably the best quarterback who's ever played in the history
Who's
of
not
the
the
game.
highest paid either.
Well, that's
their
I'm
culture.
just-
what's the point
That's their
about
culture.
that?
My point is this overvaluing receiver? To go out and get the highest paid receiver and make this guy,
Well,
is
first
it
of
really
all,
going to lead?
there's another part to this. The money just is the money. He's the next guy up. Julio Jones is going to get more money in a week
It
or 2
certainly
weeks.
should. Certainly should.
Well, here's the thing.
And how many Super Bowls has he won?
I love Julio
Oh,
Jones.
so you're defeating your point. Is he not?
He's using
He
numbers.
took his
Right.
team to one.
He's using numbers to
Oh, he
build
did.
up an
Okay.
argument and then using numbers to undermine that same argument. So here's some numbers. This is why Michael Thomas deserves this money. His catch rate, 85% last season, the highest for any receiver in
Hell of a point.
25 years.
I mean, that's almost impossible.
You understand
They
that?
running one-man routes a lot of times.
Yeah.
Don't want out.
I challenge anybody up here seriously to give me, in terms of production and chemistry, a better duo than Breeze and Thomas.
There
right
is
now.
the stats don't lie.
Right now. That's a good
In his first 3 years, I mean, nobody has come close.
It took 10 minutes for one of y'all to make a good
No,
point.
Let him go,
but even
man.
when you look at running backs, why are they being valued even more? It's because of what they can extend themselves and do in the passing game.
That's
They're
what
trying to create themselves and turn themselves into a receiver, a hybrid running back and receiver. That's what values
Pay them.
increases
Pay
their
Zeke.
value.
That sounds like a good pay Zeke argument.
We'll get to that.
Greg Cosell is back with us. Let's move to Baltimore, where the Ravens are entering year 2 of the Lamar Jackson experiment, which John Harbaugh says is moving to a brand new phase this season. According to the coach, the Ravens have created a new offense that he thinks could revolutionize the NFL, adding that he would bet that over on Lamar Jackson's rushing numbers, he'd bet the over. All right, Greg, no one watches more film other than NFL coaches than Greg Cosell. I kid Greg a lot, but Greg knows the NFL and knows the game well. Can Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, can they revolutionize the NFL with an offense?
No, and I think what you're going to see is a lot of replication with Greg Roman there as the offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator with Colin Kaepernick for 2 years in San Francisco. One of those years they went to the Super Bowl. And I think what you'll see is similar stuff. I think defenses now are better prepared for it, so I'm going to be fascinated to see how that plays out. But I think as far as revolutionizing, I'm not even sure what that term means. I think one reason they signed Mark Ingram, and I think that was a critical signing, is because Greg Roman's offense is built on what we call gap scheme runs, and you know all about that, Marcellus. Yeah. And that's what Mark Ingram does really well. It's where the guard pulls, it's counter or power is usually the two runs we call gap scheme. And Mark Ingram is really, really good at that, much better than the back they had last year, Gus Edwards, at those runs. And then they're going to hope, this is what they're going to hope, that with their use of personnel, formation, being diverse with their looks, is that they can create defined, relatively by NFL standard, easy throws for Lamar Jackson in normal down and distance situations and create big plays. That's what they're going to try to do. There's nothing revolutionary about that at all.
I think there is something, and we haven't seen it just yet, but let's combine all the layers you just laid out with a new layer, not just designed runs, but intentional runs for the quarterback. Now, we know this is a mathematical equation. That's why every so often we hear of a team with a dual threat quarterback, we got to get them involved in the running game. Just because of the simple math. You add another player into the running game. It's smart. Same thing with the three-point shot in basketball. Just keep shooting them. The math makes sense. This intentional run, I've seen it happen as a defender. We had to always in cover one when everyone's bailing, everyone's turning. Careful of the design run. Now, intentional run is you go to space, Lamar Jackson, and you get down. A la Russell Wilson. That means we know that the corners are going to bail. We know that the safety is going to be covered in deeper. Let's make sure you go to 6 yards and just bail out. Short boundary runs, intentional to the coverage. Those kind of plays added to the traditional bootlegs and bootlegs can be another layer with a guy who has the ability that's second to none.
Well, then the big question becomes, because in this league, and I don't think we would disagree with this, okay? I don't even think, Jason, you'll disagree with this. At some point in this league, I believe a quarterback has to throw the ball from the pocket. Now, can you try to minimize that to some degree with your offense? And is Lamar Jackson so special and so freakish that they can do a lot of these other things and somewhat minimize that? But at some point, that's going to have to happen. Now, could they win games? Of course they could win games, because if they can run the ball really well, if their defense plays really well, there's a whole team concept involved with this. If their special teams are really good, which is Harbaugh's specialty, then you can win football games. But I'm not sure that they're going to totally change the look of what offense is in the NFL.
When I hear Greg Roman and John Harbaugh and Colin Kaepernick, I hear Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, and Colin Kaepernick. And where I think this falls apart for me is I don't think Lamar is as good as Colin Kaepernick was in his heyday.
Oh, that's a tough one. With maturation process, he's he's in his second.
Yeah,
it's too early. But if you talk about what his abilities are, Charger game, the first one for Baltimore on the road in L.A., he made throws in the pocket that
he hit that 68-yard touchdown to Mark Andrews, the seam ball.
You saw flashes.
He's not a terrible thrower, right? In fact, I thought he threw the ball way better in his last year at Louisville when I studied him coming in the draft than he did last year, which may be a confidence thing. You know, maybe he wasn't as comfortable last year, but at some point he will have to throw it. You know, it's funny. The Kaepernick thing is interesting because Kaepernick. What eventually caught up to Kaepernick was that he was very fast, no question, and he was a power thrower, but he started to lack touch, and he started to be inaccurate, and it had to be defined for him. Now, at some point in the league, defenses catch up to this, and they make you have to do certain things as a quarterback. It's way too early with Lamar Jackson to say whether he's capable of doing that or not. Way too early.
All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The most fun you can have talking sports. Whitlock and Wiley, Rick Bucher is back with us.
More smoke.
Time to get antisocial. late with your props. All right, it's time to get antisocial with Darnell.
Yes, sir.
Darnell, what's cracking out on Twitter land?
It only made sense to put on this all the smoke shirts for the day.
go.
A lot of smoke.
Yeah, Twitter's still buzzing about your take on LeBron earlier this week, so I want to show y'all a couple different defensive of LeBron. We're gonna start with our buddy Matt Barnes.
Matt
Who was
Barnes.
actually on our show the day of the infamous essay, but had a little more to say online, tweeting out, society always wants to talk about deadbeat dads. Now you want to complain about dads doing too much. Get that out of here. Most important thing is that we're involved, we're present, we're coaching and supporting. Again, it's not for other adults to like or understand. It's for the kids. What you think about that?
Big
you hitting it
can of-
off?
Yeah, I'm hitting the Twitter
Are you gonna hit
off.
them all off?
I'm
Just let me know.
gonna hit the can
We
of
need
Twitter
another
off.
can out here.
Judging LeBron on the worst dads in America
Yeah.
isn't the right standard.
Okay, I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna say this. It takes me back to my football days when coach said, look, if you're gonna make a mistake, do it going 100 miles an hour, going 100%. If LeBron did make a mistake in parenting, at least he did it going all in. There's a lot of parents that do it the other way. So I think there is a medium. No. I think there's a medium. But at the same time, he didn't deserve that much smoke.
Yeah, if you're gonna go 100 miles an hour driving your car with your kids in it, at least take the seatbelts off, because if you're gonna be unsafe, man, just go all the way unsafe. No. First, I can't get with the premise. I don't want to talk about deadbeat dads.
Nah, me
I don't
either.
want to talk.
Me either.
I
They
don't
don't
want to
count.
talk about dads, period, unless it's my dad, and you guys don't want to hear about that. So,
There it is. All right, move on to another one of our guys, Kendrick Perkins, who made an interesting comparison, tweeting out, I wonder if Tom Brady was to show up at his son's football game and was throwing deep routes to the wide receivers during pregame when people have anything to say. What's your thoughts on this?
Ooh, we went racial. Here we go. I knew it was coming. Can't get away from the awe. What, are you hitting that one too?
Yes, because this is what you do
I don't know
on
about
Twitter.
that.
Everything
No,
on
what?
Twitter
No,
is a
and-
racial comparison.
Okay, get away from that. We ain't gonna talk about all the deadbeat tweets. We're gonna talk about this. If Tom Brady was pregame throwing routes, what would we think? I know my answer. My answer is we wouldn't think anything because there's not anything to connect it to in terms of him always wanting that attention, which I think the LeBron issue became connected to. Well, LeBron always wants to shine. But what would y'all say if y'all saw Tom Brady throwing 9 routes at a Pop Warner game?
I would have criticized him. Look,
Oh,
At a 7-on-7
I have-
event, he'd be helping the kids. I don't think LeBron's helping anybody with the dunks and the. Yeah.
okay. I hear that.
Look, I criticized Tom Brady when he put on a turkey suit and hid in a pile of leaves and jumped out and scared the bejesus out of his 4- and
He did.
5-year-old. If I criticize him for that, I'll criticize him.
Yeah, right.
Moving on to Jake Williams, who tweeted
my
directly
dog.
at you with saying, Whitlock is lucky I don't got my baby powder on me with this insane comment, equating LeBron's addiction to fame to cocaine. What? Just let this man spend time having fun with his son in the AAU squad. Can't do nothing these days.
Big can of Twitter.
No,
all
defend
day.
yourself. I need to hear this
Hope
one.
You're watching.
I need to hear this one.
The cocaine deal is why I'm a great journalist. That was clever as hell, and it's a thing that gets people's attention.
Let 'em
It
know,
was a
Whit.
great analogy.
It was a great analogy.
Hell yeah.
Way to defend yourself.
Yeah, it was a great
Next time,
analogy.
hire a lawyer. Don't defend yourself. All right, here we go. I will say this, knowing the little I know about journalism. There's emotional content you can choose by word choice. And there's sensationalism in it. Yeah, I know it got a negative connotation. But if you choose that word, you know it evokes a response. And respect for you for doing that, but also respect for Jay being like, it ain't the same, but that's the beauty of it.
Now, I believe this. Fame is a worse addiction than cocaine. I believe that.
No.
Actually, the way this
You ever been on cocaine? Me either. Hell no.
the way this reads, I'm kind of wondering if Jay doesn't think we should criticize cocaine use either. That's the way this-
Man, stop.
That's the way
I
this
love y'all.
reads
Y'all
to me.
telling me. These are the homies too. and This is hilarious. Keep going.
All right, next
Keep
one on
going.
this, we got Nate Burleson, who was watching our show and decided to clap back. Take a listen.
Clap.
Why is that a bad thing? Is he using bad words? Is he showing bad energy? Is he teaching kids bad habits? Is he talking bad to the opposing team's players? Because I'm in those gyms, and I see parents that never play basketball doing all those things. LeBron ain't doing that. He's a shining example.
What's your thoughts about this?
Look, man, I think we've, not specifically to Nate, but I think we've gone into any show of love can't be criticized.
Yeah, that's a real.
And I just don't think that's true because the example I use, like LeBron James's mother in 2008 was trying to show love and defend her son. Right. And he told her, sit your ass down. That's all I'm saying. You can show too much love and go and do too much.
Look, I've been in the gym too, like Nate, like you. Who hasn't given the eye roll to that other parent before? Like, damn, but you don't sit your butt down. Like, you let the kids go. I understand where that's coming from.
I've seen and heard more than that.
Yeah, I've seen that and heard that. Since you're not doing bad doesn't mean you're doing good. That's why I say it's a relative scope. Let's not always talk about the bad versus. That said, Nate, that landscaping bill got to be a hell of a price. You see how much shrubbery this dude got? That's what I took.
I
from
like
that
Nate
video.
too, by the way. I like
Man,
his
that's my dog, but woo.
Look, could we couldn't set the bar any lower than if we put it on the ground. He's not saying anything bad. He's not acting out. Like,
he didn't kill anybody.
Let me just put it this way.
Yeah.
What other parent that we didn't know who they were would go running out on the court and we wouldn't have security coming in going, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it's an issue. I've seen it, but you also are noticing that's an issue. Yeah, I get you that.
All right, let's move on to Jamel Hill, who didn't tweet at you directly with, but if you read between the lines, I think we know who the tweet was about, saying,
Let's see.
you give credibility to people who don't deserve it by legitimizing their opinions with their outrage. It doesn't teach them to stop airing stupid opinions. It teaches them that their opinions matter. What you got to say about that?
I don't know if I have enough in this can for all of this. I'll just leave it at this. If they call you a journalist, but your career is defined by a tweet, maybe you're not a journalist.
Man, damn. That's where we at. I was about to say, are you sure this is for you? But I'm sure what you said is for her. And, man, come on, bro. All right, look.
That's a grease
Let me throw my notes off. Look, this is what I learned. Like, don't give something energy if you don't want it to go and grow. And that said, if she is talking about you, which, it's in the 90 percentile, if she is, I wouldn't tweet in general about this to say don't tweet or give energy to this. So it's kind of defeating itself. That said, unnecessary roughness, 15 yards, repeat first down, bro.
Been mad since 2007.
I'm just waiting for the Whitlock on this subject. Even if it's in private, I got to have that.
What the hell?
Next!
All right, man. Switching over to some fans who just think all LeBron criticism is getting out of hand. One guy looked at Whitlock's criticism as hate, tweeting out, LeBron James is the most hated athlete in modern history, and it's not even remotely close. And another guy who tweeted, LeBron has been slandered for opening a school for his kids, for his Taco Tuesday IG stories, and for enjoying his son's basketball game. What are your thoughts on that?
All of that was a lie. He wasn't slandered for opening a school. People applauded it. People love Taco Tuesday. SportsCenter makes a big deal out of it. And nobody's upset that he's enjoying his kids. People are just saying, hey, tone it down a bit.
I would say it comes with the territory of superstardom. Let's just be real about this, y'all. We have changed in terms of our adoration towards the superstar. It's a love with a love to hate, and all of them get hit by it. Steph Curry, who is a golden child, can't go a couple weeks without, I got to go respond for Aisha or respond what y'all coming at me with. My shoes are ugly. Like, no matter who you are at the top of this pyramid, trust me, they coming for your head.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali would like a word with just another NBA fan or Dad LeBron. Michael Vick might want to have something to say, too. It's not.
Different justification, though.
It's not even close. But we got Matthias LBJ, so I guess we know where he's headed.
All right, before we go further, I'd like to tell you how the equal pay controversy in soccer reminds me of rocker John Cougar Mellencamp's 1983 classic, Crumbling Down. When the walls come tumbling and tumbling. I can't sing.
Man.
All right. Cougar was an Indiana boy like me. His music dominated my home state. Crumbling Down was the first time I heard the cliche, no good deed goes unpunished. It was Mellencamp's second verse. The verse reminds me of the situation the United States Soccer Federation finds itself in. The organization is being demonized and ridiculed as sexist and incompetent by the unions that represent America's men's and women's soccer players. A day after the U.S. Soccer Federation released its side of the equal pay dispute with the U.S. women's national team, the union representing the men jumped into the ring and lambasted the federation. The men released a statement that read in part, the U.S. National Soccer Team Association stands with the members of the world champion women's national team in their pursuit of fair compensation for their work as professional soccer players. The women's national team players deserve equal play and a right to pursue a legal remedy from the courts or Congress. Now, you can believe this is some sort of righteous fight between good and evil if you want to, but I'm not that kind of naive. This is a collection of 50 or so super elite, well-compensated men and women athletes fighting with their bosses over more compensation. The U.S. Soccer Federation is a 501c3, a charitable organization exempt from federal income taxes. Carlos Cordero, the head of the U.S. Soccer Federation, I'm sure is a highly compensated executive. But he's not Jerry Jones or Robert Kraft or Steve Ballmer. He's not some billionaire sports team owner lording over TV profits he wants to stuff in his own pockets. Cordero is running a soccer charity. The 50 or so men and women who make up our national teams are the people getting rich off our national soccer program. They have 2 separate unions and negotiated 2 separate deals. Neither union is satisfied with the deal they cut. The men blame the Federation for their on-field failure. The women, as humans are prone to do, want more money because they want more money. The women have designed a clever argument that their greed is really a stand for equality. Obviously, it's not. In terms of greed, the women are more than equal. In this case, they're actually more greedy than the men. The most compelling fact I've heard in the equal pay dispute is that the U.S. Soccer Federation pays the national soccer team members a salary for playing in the WNBA of soccer. This is a welfare check not available to men. It's a good deed that is being punished. We should not be surprised people have little respect or appreciation for charity once they've built it into their budget. 23 years ago, when the NBA opened its charity, the WNBA, the players were thrilled the men would subsidize a league sports fans had no interest in. Now the players are irate. They don't fly private and don't earn lavish salaries. I don't have a problem with the women being greedy. My problem is when they dress it up as a moral issue. It's just greed and envy. Same emotions that drive men at work. We're all equal. All right, joining us again is Rick Bucher. But Marcellus, I'll start with you. Are the U.S. women really fighting for equality, or are they just greedy?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think they're working hand in hand. If you think about it, part of their greed is the motivation to fight for equality while they're trying to galvanize their success on the field and the window of opportunity they have right now. Remember the World Cup, obviously only every 4 years. The Jimmy Kimmel circuit, all the talk shows, everybody's clamoring to them. That dries up very fast. So what happens is if you come out with an issue in purity, you don't get a response for that. We all know that in our own worlds. You put out a post about you going down and doing some donations at charity, a couple likes, a couple retweets. Go out there and say something salacious. Spice it up a little bit. Use a choice word, whatever it may be, clout chase, whatever it is for you, boom, reaction. And right now, maybe they're lacing it, making it more spicy in terms of using the choice word inequality. But in reality, I think that this is a situation where they know there's an opportunity and there may be an opportunity cost in pursuit of them being treated equally. They're playing better. They know that they have something to stand on in terms of production, and they're just trying to maximize that, not faulting them.
Yeah, you can be greedy, and you can be greedy for others as well. The problem that I have...
Others? There's others involved other than the 28
women.
women on the national team?
Yeah, well, the tide lifts all boats.
Yeah,
so the idea that if they get paid more, everybody has the opportunity to make more. The problem that I have with this is that this is becoming an issue that they're not getting paid the most, or they're not getting paid what they deserve because they're women. They're not getting paid what they think they should get paid in spite of their success because their success does not generate money.
Yeah.
If you look at the top singers, the richest singers, 2019, 14 out of 20 are women. 5 of the top 6 are women. Taylor Swift made the most money in 2019. Now, is her being a woman holding her back? I am sure that there are women in business, in the corporate world, who are not getting their fair shake. They're not getting paid what they deserve. But let's not confuse that with this. This is the entertainment business. You get paid what somebody thinks you are worth and ultimately what they think that they can make off of you financially. That's the bottom line. If the women were generating tons of money, people would be falling all over themselves trying to get a piece of that action. The reality is the Men's World Cup makes billions of dollars. The trickle down to the men's team is going to be more than the $130 million that the Women's World Cup made, no matter if you're the winner or not.
Rick, you made a hell of a point.
Say it.
And you really have helped my point, and I mean, I love it. We're in the entertainment industry, and these guys are successful, but they're not as entertaining as some other soccer players, the men, and so they don't make as much money per se. But I buy the U.S. Soccer Federation's argument that no, if you actually look at where we're spending the money and how, because we don't have to subsidize the men in the MSL or the MLS because that league pays them. We have to subsidize and give these guys, and they're unappreciative, as people are prone to do.
Sure.
Once, again, I've helped family, and then after about a year, it's like, well, you're supposed to do that. What's next? and so that's where we are right now, I think, with women's soccer, and I think we're with it with the WNBA. It doesn't, what's next? Initially, we were appreciative. Now we're not, and now our union says we're in a better bargaining position. I just don't like to me, it's unethical to wrap this up as if you're some woman working a factory job or a woman in an executive position that's sitting in an office right next to a man who's making more money than you, even though y'all doing the exact same job. That's not what's happening here, and they shouldn't wrap it in that. These are a collection, men and women, of about 50 to 60 highly elite, well-compensated athletes who just want more.
Yeah, but it's let me argue for them, even though I do agree that there is some blurring of the lines in terms of, is this really an equality issue? Look, when your belly button is touching your back, that hungry, that starving, you make different decisions. It's easy when you're full to have clear judgment. And, as they tell you, go to church, you go to psychiatry, they say, hey, look, whatever it is, when you're hungry, angry, tired, don't make decisions in those moments. They're starving in respect to what they think they've accomplished and what they think that is out there. Now, remember that scope, because when you think there's more out there and you're not getting it, you're hungry, maybe even greedy, because you're like, that's for us. So right now, as all tides, the high tides lift all boats, what's going around right now in our social conscious? Equality, right? That's a choice word that may play here, may not play here, but it will get us in that same tide that is rising all those boats.
For sure, and if they're going to utilize that as leverage, as a way to get paid more, have at it. But don't ask me to buy into it.
I hear that.
Because I don't see that as the issue here.
And Marcel, I think you get at the point that has been frustrating me for 3 or 4 years. You connected to Kaepernick, connected to LeBron and the equality T-shirts. They've turned the so-called fight for equality into a business strategy, and that undermines the integrity of it for me and a lot of people. It's like, man, you're just trying to get paid. And again, I think these women have an argument based off merit. We deserve a raise. We want to redo our deal, and we want to end this CBA or collective bargaining agreement we had, and based on merit, I think they could win the argument. I think they lose a lot of people like me who would be a supporter. Oh, you want a raise? You just want a World Cup? Hell yeah. They lose guys like me when they say, oh, we're mistreated and blah, blah. No, you're not. Stop it.
You know what's interesting? What is the sad reality? That you don't win in the court of a public opinion, as they even mentioned in their document, that they want to win in court and the court of public opinion with merit-based arguments solely. You have to win with now a penalty-based profound argument. You have to rouse the attention first before it gets to the forefront. I'm just saying the reality.
No, you may be right.
I'm not saying how I like it. I'm just saying how it is. And I learned this discernment from being a football player, and we can look at that current times right now. Look at the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is, quote-unquote, a profoundly average quarterback by some of the metrics, right? 15th ranked, top 10 maybe. Zeke is top 5, maybe top 1. Guess what the difference is going to be in salary? There's not an equality argument. So you can even say, look, this is an argument between intersex or intrasex. Whatever you want to look at it at, there's always disparity, and it's not always inequality. Sometimes they just get it because they demand it.
Or the timing is right. I mean, look at Russell Wilson, Jimmy Graham. They're the highest paid at their positions in the NFL. The top three in NBA right now are Steph Curry, Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook.
They're not the top 3 players.
Exactly.
Greg Jennings, Greg Cosell are back. Let's move to the Cowboys training camp, where Ezekiel Elliott is still nowhere to be seen, and Jerry Jones is doing his best to act like they don't need Zeke. Even still, ESPN's Josina Anderson reports that negotiations over Zeke's extension are going well, so well, in fact, that if things go according to plan, Zeke will soon be the highest paid running back in the NFL. All right, Marcellus. You love to spend money on Michael Thomas.
I love it.
Would you make Ezekiel Elliott the highest paid running back?
I would. One, he deserves it. Look, we know his numbers. 2 of the 3 rushing titles he's been in the league, would have won the 3rd, but suspension, whatever. But beyond that, I think that they both have to walk away from this contract in a win-win position. They both have to have bragging rights. They both have to feel comfortable with that because the Cowboys basically have 4 years of controlling rights of Zeke. We turn 2 years on the contract, 2 years of franchise. So they understand that. So they have to feel good about, hey, Zeke, we're going to sign you early, very early compared to what we need to. And Zeke needs to feel great, too, walking away saying I'm the highest paid because he knows next year or the year after, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, and others are going to leapfrog him. So unless you want to come right back to this negotiation in a year, make Zeke feel good, buy yourself some time. And meanwhile, the Cowboys feel good that they went and paid a guy a little early based on the contract terms, but not based on his production.
Well, now it depends what the Cowboys think about their team philosophically, because the last number of years, their team has been built on Zeke, and what he allowed that to happen was their defense played fewer snaps, and their defense has been great, and the quarterback was a complementary piece. Now, maybe they think that Dak Prescott is ready to be more than a complementary piece. I personally don't see that, but they may see that. So the question is, if this is the philosophy of their team, if the philosophy of the team is to run the football as their foundation and that sets up everything else, including their defense, then you got to pay Ezekiel Elliott. It's as simple as that. He's the guy.
I hear both of you, and I disagree. I would err on the side of caution. I'm all about players getting paid and getting their worth, but when I look at
wide receiver.
Definitely a wide receiver, but across the board.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, when I look at the guys who earn the right to get paid like that, they typically check every box, not just on the field. Production, value to that organization specifically, and then you look at off the field. How do you handle yourself? And the number one box that needs to be checked when it comes to off the field is not all the things that you've gotten. Can I trust you? And with Ezekiel Elliott, forget everything that he's done. Is he going to still work if I pay him this much?
Right.
We've in the media even noticed, is he going to stay in shape? Last year, he was putting up images of him actually being fit, looked a lot better. But when you get paid, there's a level of comfort that you start to sit in and you start to tailor off what you once were doing to earn that check. So I would err on the side of caution.
Fat or skinny, the rushing title is in his pocket.
I mean,
Whatever way it comes. But I would say this, and this is something that's underreported, but about Ezekiel that I'm sure those within the brass understand and know, that he's been a little troublesome at times with some of their partners and some of the people that they work with in connection and sponsorship, et cetera. I know personally one and another one who was like not the best example, but you know what, we work with him. What happens is you start playing with the money in a lot of different line items. We start pausing on you getting your money. And if we see all these public incidents, as Whitlock likes to point out, when you get caught, that's not the first time you did it. And, you know, he's been in trouble a few times. How many other situations? There's one brewing right now with the car accident.
Right.
Was there suppression there? I'm just telling y'all, there's another layer underreported that may be giving them pause as well, because they have all the evidence.
So, I mean, are you saying that
I'm still paying them, though.
You still going to pay
Look,
them?
I paid Michael Irvin back in the days, and all these guys, like, I'm paying
I
them.
think it's different, though, now, and I think Greg's hit the key word, trust. And because, again, he's already been suspended before. If he has another incident, it's going to be another long suspension.
True.
And again, it's about trust. Can I trust Zeke to, I think, stay in shape? Can I trust him to stay out of trouble? I'm not so sure. And then the whole league, Greg, I think you can speak to this, has been upset about Todd Gurley's contract.
Right.
And so why would you rush out to set a new standard when the whole league keeps saying, no, we don't want to pay running backs $13 million?
And the other thing is the Cowboys have some potential issues down the road because think about who they have to pay.
Yes.
Okay, and we can get into whether guys are worth it or not. That becomes irrelevant. It's just the next guy up. They're going to have to pay Dak. Theoretically, they have to pay Zeke. They're going to have to pay Amari Cooper. They're going to have to pay Byron Jones because corner is a premium position in the league as well. They're going to have to pay Jalen Smith. Now they won't have to pay him quite as much. Stacked linebacker doesn't pay as much as these other positions, but these are guys they have to pay. They just paid DeMarcus Lawrence, so they have to make some tough decisions about what they think their team is about, and the trust factor. That's a very but let's put that aside for a moment. If they think their team is about Zeke running the football and that's where it starts, then you have to pay him. Just like Michael Thomas is so important to the Saints. You have to deal with the value to an organization, not this general concept of value, which of course you hear running backs are devalued, but not for the Cowboys, not the way they've played the last couple of years.
But you got contract language. You can protect yourself in these situations. Not only contract language, Zeke give him some of that money back, but fine print, which is like the details of that contract language, which really gives him a narrow lane to be as a citizen. And if he violates that, then you get the money back. If I'm Jerry, I use that as leverage. I say, let's go to the table. But boy, there's going to be a hefty penalty if you violate.
Uncle Jimmy's here.
Jimmy. Yup.
I have no idea why you have on Chiefs gear, but any thoughts on today's show?
Oh, yeah, I want to hear him get to this big dummy of the day.
Yeah.
The big dummy of the day, somebody said, and you've been doing good for about 3 months. Boy, you crossed the line today. You said that Michael Thomas and Drew Brees was the best wide receiving quarterback tandem in the NFL. Did you forget about Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes?
Say his name first. Can you say his name right first so I can know? Tyreek Hill?
His man's...
Don't blackify his name.
Confuse me.
Look here, y'all had daddies. Leave me alone.
All right.
I ain't forget about him.
Here's a highlight from our discussion earlier about LeBron James.
A lot of home runs, no singles.
The top NBA players know what I'm talking about. LeBron James's unquenchable thirst for attention creates unnecessary drama that undermines a team.
What I love about LeBron is he's not a prisoner of his own success. We say he wants the attention or those guys want the attention, but in reality, it comes with the territory, so why not embrace it?
All right, Uncle Jimmy, we had a great discussion earlier about LeBron James, and as I explained, I was talking about the AAU thing is enlightening about LeBron as a basketball player. Anyway, what's your take?
The great Muhammad Ali said that he was so fast that he could shut off the light and jump into bed and be under the covers and sleep before the room got dark. My nephew used to practice that when he was growing up.
When?
No, for real. My nephew, my nephew is a tricky person, man. You didn't see what he did to y'all.
What'd he do?
Look here, man. Let me tell you what he did, man. You see my nephew in one place. He be right here. And then all of a sudden, he be like, ta-da! And he'd be somewhere else. You didn't see it, did you?
No.
Hey, man, listen to you. I know what you're thinking. With as much mass and as much ass as my nephew has, he shouldn't be able to move that fast.
Okay.
But the boy is as graceful as gazelle and slick as snail snot. Hey, bro, I done seen this boy as a kid try to hide behind a broomstick and damn near got away with it.
Turbo, huh?
Here's what I'm trying to say. Marcellus,
What?
He moved the goalpost on us.
What'd he do now?
He changed the conversation.
Okay.
Let me tell you what he did. He got in a crowded room and yelled, "Get your hand out my pocket!" And then everybody turned around. We looked up, he was gone.
Where'd he go? What'd he do?
You see what I'm saying? Let me look here, bro.
Break it down.
This dude sat up here all day yesterday and let me and you sit up here and defend his name and reputation all over the world, talking about him and his comments about LeBron James. And he goes there talking about, I never talked about LeBron and the father. I was talking about LeBron the athlete.
Oh, yeah.
Now you want to sit up here smiling like a wolf with a mouth full of yellow jackets. Talking about, You know good and well what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was talking about LeBron, the athlete. Yes.
Today.
Look, you didn't see it coming, did you? Because that's what he do. He good. That boy good. That boy good. Look, man, this is why I tell you Uncle Jimmy too old of a cat to be clawed by a kitten. Look, man, the boy don't amuse me. I'm not amused by his foolishness. Look here, man, let me tell you what he did back in Kansas City one time. Back, I think it was 05. The boy wrote that the Chiefs was going to go 16-0.
1998.
So, 90, sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Go ahead, man.
I stand corrected.
Go ahead.
You're getting old, Uncle.
Yeah.
You're getting
The
old.
man said the Chiefs gonna go 16-0. Chiefs lost their first game. My nephew became rich talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and how bad they was. Here's the catch.
Not that fast.
Nobody on the Kansas City Chiefs thought they was gonna go 16-0.
Yeah.
And he going around locker room talking about what happened to y'all. That's why Wayne Simmons was gonna whoop his ass in Diamond Joe's.
As he should have.
I got one more for you real quick.
Give it to me.
Listen to it. Now, this 2005, 2006. The no salary cap limit soldiers.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Look here, man. My nephew sat up here and tried to strong-arm Carl Peterson and the Kansas City Chiefs to make them sign Ty Law.
That's right. No
No
salary
matter
cap.
what the consequences, no matter what the salary cap.
Sign Ty Law, you damn
Look
straight.
here, man, for 2 weeks,
Hall of Famer.
longer than 2 weeks, all we did, he gonna make the Chiefs sign Ty Law. Hey, man, we made T-shirts. Hey, man, his jersey sales went out the window. We planned a pep rally down in Crown Center at the Foolery Saloon.
The Grand Falloon.
The Grand Falloon. The Grand Falloon.
The Foolery
Look here, man,
Saloon.
we had 5,000 people there.
Boy,
And everybody was there, but guess who wasn't there?
Ty Law and Jason.
My nephew. Hey, man, you heard about that big meltdown he had on TV? Remember he talked about that?
Melted? Nuh-uh.
No.
Yeah, his whole big...
The day before the rally, Marcellus, I quit the radio show.
He quit.
Because he couldn't get Ty Law?
Oh, we got Ty Law.
Wait a minute, you know how he do something dumb and everybody asks you why Jason do it?
Yeah.
You got to explain it. Hey, man, where your boy? I'm like, hell, I don't know where he's at. We
Hey,
looked up, bro. He
We
on
got to
ESPN
give
with
our
Mike Wilbon.
approval rating
He was Mike Wilbon.
for
Leaving us in
LeBron
Kansas
James.
City.
I got him at a 60.
This is what he
60?
does.
Yeah.
Oh,
I drop
man.
him in authenticity. He's
I
always
ain't
on
fooling with
stage.
this,
He's
man.
always performing.
Oh, man, I moved him up, job performance. Lost Kawhi, got AD. When keeping it, Dad goes wrong. But all that said, authenticity, had to drop you one. Respond to Whitlock.
See you tomorrow.
I love it.
In love.